Awesome. Thank you, everybody. Chris Dyer here today, and I'd love to introduce you to the lovely Wendy Babcock. We are associated through a couple of different ways. Through Polka Dot Powerhouse, we had the opportunity to meet each other in October for the very first time. And Wendy herself actually hosts a lovely networking group and a podcast. So I'm going to let her tell you about who she is, what she does, and how she shines. So take it away, Wendy.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Chris. So I'm Wendy Babcock, and the main thing I do is slam networking. And ironically, today that we're recording this is the anniversary of when I came up with the idea. I just saw it in my memories. So it's been since on this day, February 15th, 2021, that I had this idea for networking. And I wanted a way to record all my connections, but also network in a different way. And so I created this slam networking as an idea. It started as a journal and I was using it. And when I would connect with people, they loved it because I was using icebreaker style questions and I was tracking everything. And so I ended up selling it for other people, to other people. And then from there it became a community. People who were using the journal wanted to connect with more people who were using the same method to really build relationships and just have more fun. Um, and let's see, what else do I do? So I'm also an international and TEDx speaker. My main topic is complaint-free world. And then of course, I'm also speaking on networking differently. And my podcast. So currently the only podcast I have that's up and running still is called Slam I Am. And it's just kind of my outlook on the world when I have this like moments come to me. Just for an example, I just was reading a book by Wayne Dyer and something he said really resonated with me. So I just quick recorded a 6-minute podcast episode about that, the idea. So
Very
that's
good.
where I'm at currently.
So how is networking different from traditional networking that we know?
So the difference with slam networking is it's more of that after hours connecting. You know, you think about if you were to work a traditional job and kind of meet up with your girlfriends after work for a happy hour and just have fun and laugh and kind of kick back and relax. That's what I wanted slam networking to be. So it's more of a fun environment. So we do things like we play bingo once a month. Next week, we start our version of Wheel of Fortune, which will be called Wheel of Networking. There's a virtual dance party. And we just integrate the business into that. So it's fun with a side of business. So you're still talking about what you do, but we're really trying to get to know who you are. And when I ask myself that question, like, how do I actually build relationships? How do I do that? And I thought, well, I get to know people personally when I'm having fun with them. That's how I really start to connect with people. So that's why I came up with this idea to connect on a different level. So to me, it's complementary to the traditional network people are doing. So it's not an either or. It's just kind of that time, because I think we all sometimes we get too into our heads about business and selling and connecting that way, where we need to have that social time. And obviously the last 2 years have been pretty stressful on a lot of us. Everything's gone virtual. And I wanted to bring back that social fun into what we do. Because I think, it's that saying, all work and no play makes Jack or Jill a dull boy or girl. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Well, I also know what little bit I do know, and I'm excited that I'm signed up to come to one of your events on Monday, as a matter of fact.
Awesome.
Is this a great way to break new entrepreneurs in who might be a little intimidated or just not really sure of what a networking community looks like? Does this kind of help ease them into that?
It does, because we really push past the pitch fest. So there's nobody in here pitching each other. We're just, we talk about our businesses, but it's in a much more relaxed way, where traditional networking, there's a place for that, so that's not, like I said, it's not an either or. There's a place for it, but it helps you get to know yourself and how you want to represent what you do and who you are. It also challenges people to talk more about who they are rather than what they do. So for an example, when we play bingo, when you're registered, your name goes on the bingo card. And we play probably 3-4 games within that hour. And every time your name is called on that card, you get to speak about something about yourself. And so you can see people are like, oh, I don't know. I already told you what I do. I told you how many kids I have. It forces you to think about, who are you really? Like, what are your hobbies? What do you like to do? And then people are like, oh my gosh, I do that too. We should connect. And so it kind of pushes past the boundaries of that shallowness that some of us feel, especially as an introvert, where I'm only allowed to talk about my business, or I'm only allowed to say just so much. This goes a lot deeper.
Good. So what are some of the highlights of one of your favorite Slam events?
Oh boy, I think the virtual dance party has been fun because everybody utilizes that time a little bit differently. So the virtual dance party, basically I create a playlist. And as people come into the room, they can comment of what song they might want to hear, and I can add that to our playlist. Some people use it as a co-working space where they can turn their camera off, get some work done while listening to the music, and it's all just upbeat, fun stuff. Some of us, sometimes I want to dance. Sometimes I move my chair aside and I'll get some steps in. So it's kind of an exercise, getting some movement in. Some people just play with the functions of the platform that I use. So I don't use Zoom. We use a newer company. It's a Danish company. It's called Butter. And so in the comments, you can actually pick out funny gifs of people dancing or whatever. And so sometimes we just kind of have, like, I want to call it like a gift war, so to speak, where we're all just finding the funniest gifts to throw up on the screen. And it's really interesting to see how people interact during that space, because you got some people dancing, some are in the chat, some are just working with their cameras off. And so I just appreciate that everyone feels comfortable to do their own thing during that time. And then the last 15 minutes or so, we do come back and I have everyone introduce themselves at the end, not in the beginning.
At the end instead of the beginning?
Yeah. Yep.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause I like to put personality first, and then, because it's fun with the side of business. So I kind of put that in the back. So you're already feeling like you know who you're going to connect with because you're watching them have fun. You're seeing how they're utilizing the time. And then we introduce ourselves and what our businesses are. And then you just see the connections, form from there. It's really a fun way of looking at it.
Very cool. So what is the typical size of one of your average events?
We're very small currently, and I'm totally fine with that. So I just launched the community in August of 2021, and we currently have 25 members, and um, each happy hour we have is a little bit different. Sometimes we only have 3 people, sometimes we have 12. So they just vary in size as we attract new members and people come and try it out and see if they like it. And it's what I did also is, it's a subscription, so it's a monthly membership. But I wanted to have the opportunity for people to come in to just visit the events that they really enjoy. Some people really like bingo, so they can pay $10 for an event and come as often as they want without being subscribed to the membership.
Very
So we
cool.
get visitors sometime, which is fun.
So is Slam networking, is that your primary business model right now, or is there something else that also helps support the Slam networking? And I know you mentioned a journal as well. So what are some other things that kind of help fill out that package?
So the Slam networking has a lot of different things included. So when members join, I had created this program called an Expert Emporium. So now it's the Slam Network Expert Emporium. And we have 6 different areas, and it's a $1,500 program that's included with membership. And so it's the basics and the foundational skills that entrepreneurs need to level up their business to bring in more profits. Um, and there's just lots of fun little tools that I included. There's an app. We have the Slam Networking app. It's got its own social media section, so you can, connect with other members inside of the app. You can list your business on the app, which is kind of fun too. There's a business directory, and that's brand new. I just launched the app in January. And I'm also speaking. So I've been visiting different, chapters of different networking communities. So I've been talking more about what Slam is and helping people just connect on a different level to really bring the personal aspects back into networking.
Very good. So are you visiting, I assume virtually, just so you can stay in your comfort space? We were talking right before the interview of the difference of, staying at home where you're comfortable as opposed to, being the traveling entrepreneur. So
Right. And I don't mind going in person, of course, but this is so much more convenient. I can be speaking in Canada. I can be speaking in, California, and I'm located in Wisconsin. So virtual is great to reach more audiences that way. But I do, I do go places, especially within, a driving range, apparently, or like a driving distance from where I'm at, to visit like different polka dot powerhouse chapters, or, you know, that sort of thing.
Sure. Um, so the Slam network in the community is sort of like an entry to introduce people into what you offer. And then you have like an entrepreneur 101 type of coaching package that kind of could be looked
Well,
into, or what does that look
yeah.
like?
And actually the program, it's a you go at your own pace thing. So it's not even a coaching. There are multiple experts inside of that expert emporium. So that's what's unique about it. It's basically walking into a mall of experts, and you can kind of go down these 6 different corridors if you're looking for help with sales, marketing, if you're looking for help with networking. So there's all these different aspects of the program. So you're not just getting coached from one person. So there's multiple, and I believe we have 11 experts inside of the expert emporium. So, and also we teach about utilizing personality types through one of the experts, Abby Waters, who talks about DISC, to help you utilize which experts are you're going to learn the best from.
That's fascinating. I didn't know that. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna enjoy delving more into that when we come to your first meeting.
Yeah.
What are some other things that you would like for us to know about the Slam networking platform?
Well, let's see. So SLAM stands for, I'll tell you the little bit of background what SLAM is. So people are like, why SLAM? And so it's interesting because today's the date that I came up with the idea. Was I was trying to think of a different way to connect. I'm an introvert. So one-on-one connections were difficult for me. I felt awkward. I felt like one person talked all the time, or, one was always answering. It didn't go back and forth. And I thought about this notebook we passed around in junior high, and it was called a slam book. It was just a spiral notebook. People would write questions on each page, and you'd come in and you would pick like number, I was maybe number 7, and I would answer all the questions with number 7. So it was kind of anonymous. And I thought, that's basically icebreaker questions. So I thought of the idea like, well, what if I just asked a lot of icebreaker questions where it would prompt the conversation to go back and forth? You answer, then I answer. And so that's how it got started. And so I thought of the SLAM notebook from junior high. And so I made SLAM into an acronym, which is support, learn, accelerate, and monetize. So I also teach people when I do speaking engagements about networking differently. I talk about looking at your return on investment when you're networking, because we all invest in different networking companies to be a member. And so I like to look at, okay, where are the referrals coming from? Who am I connecting with? Are these the people who are, who are referring me that I'm able to sell a program or get a speaking engagement, or, you know, have someone join my networking community? And so I keep track of this in the journal. So people who are numbers people, they love that. Some people are like, you know what? I don't really care. I don't want to hear the numbers. They just want to make good connections. And so it's a way to track everything that you're doing. So that's kind of the background of what SLAM is. And it's just, it's been helpful for me. So I figured if it was helping me when I created the journal, it's going to help somebody else.
Sure. Now that's actually segued into two new questions. And I mean, just the short time that I've known you, I know that there are multiple groups that you do show up actively and participate in. So tell us a little bit more about, besides just Polka Dot, what are some of the other groups that you've had some success with?
So another group that I'm really enjoying currently is called the Idea Collective. And they just kind of renamed it the Idea Collective Incubator. It's different because it's not just networking. So they actually help in many different events they host throughout the week and throughout the month. It's almost like free advice from other experts. And so you get in there and they actually help you build your business. It's not just networking. They're actually helping you. They're basically putting your business in an incubator, giving you ideas and tips and strategies to further your business. It's just a really great community. It's not, or it is very inclusive. So it's not just women or men, it's both. So I like that aspect of it. Obviously Polka Dot, I absolutely love. It's probably my number one group on when I do my ROI of where I gain business from. Obviously selling on the spot. I'm really enjoying this community because it's as women, especially, I think we're taught to share, build relationships before sales. So this is a really cool platform to be like, hey, I do have something to sell. Like it's okay to sell what I have. And so it's kind of freeing. Like when I went to the first one, I'm like, this is pretty cool.
Right.
I'm really enjoying this. As far as like, there's a free Facebook group called Success Champions run by Donnie Bovine. That's a really great group as well. Donnie is an acquired taste. So if you're offended by the F word, definitely don't join his group. But he tells you like it is. He's
Yeah.
an expert in sales. And he knows what he's talking about. So I really enjoy his group. I like to kind of sprinkle myself all over the place because you meet so many interesting people that way, and you just really expand your network.
Well, yeah, and each group provides something different that our
Yes.
psyche needs, right? Our intellect or just our personality, for instance. So
Yes.
yeah, so we'll work included here. I'm going to take more notes because I've just learned a few more things that I didn't know before, and that's the beauty of it. But no, I appreciate the fact that you're here also is because selling on the spot marketplace is
Yeah.
another venue that we both have found pretty recently. Of course, I found it over a year ago, and I'm sort of a slow to implement because I'm very intentional about, vetting out the people and the
Right.
personalities and just the integrity of the people in the group.
Right.
And I have found that, yes, that we do belong to so many other networking groups, and there's such that long learning curve of the know, like, and trust to be able to show up with an event and actually make an offer. That's
Yeah.
actually pretty huge, especially if you're in a place in your business where you really need to get new eyes on your business consistently.
Yeah.
So that's where I have found it, and you've agreed to be a sponsor on one of our events coming up this Friday. So I'm very thankful for that as well.
Yeah. I'm
But
excited for it.
yeah, but I had another question too, and that's just my brain sort of goes on a train, if you will.
I'm that way, don't worry.
But everything we've done in our past is leading up to the next big thing. So I have a two-part questions like, well, what do you foresee? What is your big vision with Slam Networking? But first, let's talk about what is it. There's some consistencies throughout your life that have really shown that are bringing you to where you are today. Like what is it in your past? Is it your experience, your education? What is it?
I've pondered on this question because I've asked myself that as well. Like, why is it so important for me for people to build relationships? Like, what is it about that? And I came to the conclusion that I've in my life, I've experienced childhood abuse and domestic abuse. And in both of those situations, I did not have a lot of friends because I wasn't quote unquote allowed to. So I felt like coming into an adult after I left those situations, especially a prior marriage. I was 31 years old and didn't know how to build friendships. And so I kept everybody at an arm's length away. Everyone was telling me, basically what I should be, who I should know. And I just never felt like I had control of the relationships that were in my life. And I felt very much isolated. And I figured out I was doing it to myself because of my past. That's what I knew. I knew that staying isolated is my comfort zone. And so I thought when I joined places like Polka Dot Powerhouse and people said, oh, build relationships first, I didn't know how to do it. Like, how do I build relationships? I don't know how to do this. I felt like I was just this oddball who didn't know how to have a friendship or how to meet people and show up as myself. So it was very important to me to show up authentically. And so when I started showing up authentically was a lot more inauthentic than I thought because I found what I was doing is I was being what I thought people wanted to see of me. And when Slam Networking came about, that was my way of saying, okay, I'm going to really put myself out there, personality and all. So that's where my TikToks started. And I started to show my sense of humor because I'm kind of a goofball. I love joking around and just being a nut. And I thought, oh my gosh, people are going to hate this. But then I'm like, no, it's okay. This is who I am. This is who I need people to see me as. And I can't tell you what a breakthrough that was for me. Because instead of narrowing my audience, it actually expanded. I brought in more people who were like, wow, this is the Wendy we've been waiting for. Like, wow, like I didn't know you had this sense of humor or whatever. And so it's really made a huge impact on my life. So I've really learned to show up as me unapologetically.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm sort of looking at that space as well, Randy. I think when I think back to my past, we all have a different definition of what success is, right?
Right.
For me, poverty, for me growing up was loneliness and isolation.
Yeah.
And based on that criteria, I know I will never be poor again another day in my life, right?
Right.
Because of knowing and trusting myself and creating those amazing relationships. And there's some identity pieces of us that we've carried along that's really heavy baggage. When you learn to discard that baggage or leave it behind, that you could just pull the Band-Aid off. It's like, oh, here it is,
Right.
like it or not. So I too am also leaning into that space and pulling out all the snark, and, I love to dance and I love to cut up and I'm silly. And
Yeah.
sometimes I won't say abrasive, but F-bomb does not bother me at all. But, so yeah, I feel like I'm sort of coming into my own in that similar space and showing up even bigger, but
Yeah.
more boldly, more brightly, so that we can encourage others to do the same thing, right?
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
then being
us,
okay. And part of that too, I think, is being okay with other people's opinions, because of this, I've come to realize they really are none of our business. So the people who don't appreciate that silliness, the snarkiness, if you're really sarcastic, I can be very sarcastic sometimes because I think I'm being funny and people are like, oh, like, no, I didn't mean it. So, not worrying about that kind of stuff. I've
right.
really kind of embraced that. Like, I'm going to attract people in my life now who appreciate my sense of humor.
Well, what's your big vision?
So my big vision really for Slam is just, I want to see women having more fun in their lives. And my platform, I don't really say it's women only. That's how it kind of started. And obviously my branding attracts women because it's pink and black and white. So I mean, most women are attracted to that, men aren't, but I don't want to say it's that, that we don't include those people. It is open for anybody. People who are drawn to this community is what's important to me. So I don't care who you are, your background, gender, any of that stuff. We welcome everybody. But again, my branding always like attracts women. Um, but the goal, I think, is just to help people that maybe are like us, who have these difficulties with friendships and showing up truly as who we are. I'm hoping to break those walls down. So when people get into Slam networking, they're like, oh, wow, this is fun. I can have a good time. And then I want that to carry over into their traditional networking. So they show up more as who they are and not who they think people want to see them as.
Right. How do you feel the slam networking has helped even your own daughters in your own household and your community?
My daughters have seen, a big difference. And of course, my daughter Jennifer, I brought her to Polka Dot Celebration, and introducing her into that world was life changing for her. And seeing me show up as who I am and not trying to, be kind of pretentious in a way, because I was trying to be more professional and more, all this and that. And then them seeing me kind of step into who I truly am and loosen up and just be me, I think has really helped them, especially my oldest daughter. She struggles with mental health issues, and, she just launched her own business. And, side note that's funny, people will enjoy, is that when we came away from celebration and she had a wonderful conversation with you, Chris, she says, Mom, that's who I want to be when I grow up.
Oh,
And I'm like, and that just means the world to a mom, for someone to impact your child so much that she was able to really hone in on her own business and not worry about outsiders and what somebody else might think of her or what she's doing.
right.
So I think, yeah, I think them watching you, it really sets them up, like, it's okay to be me and do what I love to do.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think the most important thing, particularly for women, because just with the culture and the values of who we are, where we are, we still have a lot of work to do, right? I mean, we're in an age now where we're very blessed. We have a lot of opportunities that, our parents and grandparents didn't have, but yet we still have a lot of work to do. But to help encourage a woman to be comfortable in her own skin and not have to apologize for who she is
Yeah.
or what she thinks and whatever context, I think that's huge.
Yeah, I
But
agree.
I appreciate you saying that about Jennifer. So and congratulations for her on her new business venture that you
Yeah.
just launched a couple weeks ago.
Yep, her from scratch pets is really awesome, because and she really took to heart. She's like her mom, where I always say I have rabbit squirrel brain, and I was doing like 20 different things. And I realized, like, you can't do all those things and do them all well.
Right.
And so she being an artist, she wasn't sure where to focus her energy. And I think it was you or somebody at Polka Dot had told her, what can you do for 3 to 6 months straight and still enjoy it? And that's where she said, doing these wooden animals and painting and stuff. And she's like, and I love it. She's like, I don't feel like it's even a job because she's like, really enjoy making these. So
And then also she's doing it for a specific community too, right? For some nonprofit or for animals or something like that, or
she's not there quite yet, but she's talked about she wants to get it to where she's when she's profitable, being able to donate to different nonprofits. So I'm not sure what that looks like, whether it's going to be because she used to work at an animal shelter. So of course that's near and dear to her heart. But also I know she's got a passion for helping incarcerated women. And so I think that's part of it as well. So we'll see where she goes with that. But yeah, she definitely wants to be able to give back.
that's fascinating. No, that just makes me feel good. And didn't she just join Polka Dot also at Celebration?
Did yep.
She was so inspired. Yeah.
I think Saturday she was blown away because I even explained to her, it's a group you have to experience. Because I would say Rebecca Ploutz brought me to my first meeting. I was kicking and screaming. I'm like, oh, it's not gonna be for me. And I joined that day.
That's
So
awesome. Yeah.
yeah, it's just when you experience the love in the room and I don't know, it's a unique, very unique community, I think.
I agree. I have to say, hands down, because
Yeah.
there were other groups that I belonged to before Polka
Yep.
Dot, and everything provides something different. I know we touched
Yep.
on that before, but I think for Polka Dot, it's for everyone. It's for,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what your bank account is, what your background is, what
Yes.
your culture is, where you came from. It's it's for everyone who
And
just
there's
wants to.
something that and there's something that lights up for me anyways, like when I get on a connection call and I'm not sure where somebody found me and we're like, "Oh, are you a polka dot?" They're like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Oh." And like instantly have this connection because you're both dots.
Yeah.
It's a really cool feeling. It's like, yeah, I don't know. I just really enjoy that finding all these new dots.
Well, and in my opinion is, I've never been like the fair weather friends, like once a dot, always a dot. I have an open door policy, right? If that door has been open, it remains open until the other person closes it. And that's
Right.
just who I am as a person. So,
Right. Yeah,
um,
I feel that way too.
yeah,
Especially for someone who did struggle to build relationships. Now I cherish them. So when I do find people, like you're in my space, like this is great. Come on in. Once we've met and we're friends, like you're there.
yeah. Well, and I think too, the fact that you and I are so well connected in multiple groups just really helps us. We have that Rolodex of how we can actually serve and help people and refer them to people that they need, whether it's in their personal life or their business. So,
Yeah.
um,
And I think that's the defining difference too that I learned from Polka Dot is networking is about serving others, not serving yourself.
right.
And so I always go into networking thinking about when I'm talking to somebody, who can I introduce them to? Who can I refer to them? And I'm always thinking like the main question I ask people is, who are you looking for? Who's your ideal client? And I teach that with Slam networking. Knowing who someone's looking for helps you connect them with the people in your network. So when you think of it that way, you're not selling somebody. You're not like, I don't know. I think some people can be a little, what's the word for it? Pushy in networking, where they just want to talk about with their product. And it's like, I don't believe that's what networking is. I believe networking is serving the people that you're talking to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, and also it builds a credibility too, right? Because when
Yes.
you're actually helping them, it comes back to you tenfold and they're going to
Yes.
naturally want to refer the right people to you. They may not be your ideal client or whatever,
Yeah.
but it's that energy, that positive energy that we're putting out that really does come back. And that's not the intent,
Right.
but it does. I mean, that's just the nature of the way it works. So I feel very blessed. And every time you and I talk, it's like, oh, I can't wait. I can't wait for you and I to be able to do some more collaborating. So
I agree. And that's the other aspect of I think about when I sat down and thought about like who do I make introductions for? Who do I refer? It's not always the business. It's almost always the person. So that personality, who they truly are, I thought, how can I extract that from people so I can better serve them? Because I do align personality types over business. Because even if, one's not looking for, a product or a service, I look at collaborations are a really important part of networking too. And so I think that's why I'm really geared towards relationship building through personality and who a person is at their core, not the business.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and actually, it's funny you say collaboration because, what initially started out was a signature business through COVID and the silver lining of being able to connect with so many different men and women globally through the pandemic.
Right.
That was where it's like, oh, that's my second aha is the collaboration and loving just being able to support and encourage and mentor and also help market other, particularly women entrepreneurs who haven't quite found their voice or their comfort level yet, because you and I are the people who are going to show up, right? And we
Right.
are master connectors, and we love connecting those people. And sometimes there's a long learning curve for those individuals to really get comfortable in their space and owning their space. And that's where you and I really shine a light on that.
Right. Because when you're starting out, you don't know what direction you're going.
Mhm.
I had those same questions, like, how do I build a relationship? What is this referral? Like, who do I refer? How do I make an introduction? So all that stuff, like you said, it's a learning curve. And so when you can connect with somebody who has been in the space for a while, ask questions.
Yeah,
Most of us are so willing to share and just kind of give as much value to you as we possibly can.
absolutely. Well, Wendy, thank you so much. Is there anything else you would like to add? We've gone over just a little bit, just because it's been such a great conversation.
No, I just want to thank you so much. I really appreciate the space with the selling on the spot marketplace. I think it's brilliant, and I think this is really going to give women definitely a new voice because being able to sell and actually show up that way, I think it's a unique space that's I haven't seen out there.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. Well, there's something for everyone, like I said.
right.
It depends on the mind space and the space you need to be in for your business. And there's plenty of things out there to help us grow personally. But again, thank you so much, Wendy. And I will see you on Friday.
Awesome. Thank
Right.
you so much, Chris.
Thank you.